Welcome back to Lit Sports Online. We are introducing a new segment called The wYre, and it's going to be a weekly series with Gerald giving us BYU football updates. But for this video, we're going to give a full season preview, just kind of talk about some of the burning questions before the season starts. So, Gerald, first thing I want to know is what your expectation is for BYU coach Kalani Sitake in his second year.
Well, first off, before I do get into that, I am super excited to be doing this. Started LitTube about a year ago, and me and you are both huge sports fans, and I'm a huge BYU fan, and I've always wanted to do this. You know, big shout out to BYU Sports Nation, a show I watch virtually daily. That really gave me the inspiration for LitTube. So yeah, I'm really excited to do this. But to go into your question, expectation of Kalani Sitake, I expect the greatness. I mean, Kalani Sitake is a true player's coach. He's great for recruiting. He's a former player himself, actually played at BYU under LaVell Edwards. And I mean, he just has such a high energy. And in comparison to the former head coach Bronco Mendenhall, who departed for University of Virginia a year ago, I honestly think he's a much better coach in terms of just energizing the kids. You know, I feel like the atmosphere around Bronco Mendenhall's BYU team was very orderly, very structured, very, we do things my way and they're going to be my way, nothing else. But Kalani's like, you know what? We're going to have fun doing it, We're going to have fun playing football. We're going to do our best, and we're going to I think this is going to be, year 2 is going to be a breakout year. Kids are going to be under have already been doing this new system for 2 years. So I think it's just going to be really exciting to see what they can do.
Yeah, and I actually did a little research on the coaches as well, and the coaching staff doesn't appear impressive to me. I mean, outside of the head coach, they also have Reno Mahe, who used to play halfback in the NFL for the Eagles. Ty Detmer, former Heisman winner. So definitely impressed by the coaching staff there. So who do you think is going to be the breakout star on the offensive and defensive side of the football this year? Well,
for offense, it's a no-brainer. I think, honestly, Tanner Mangum is going to come out, and he's just going to run it. I mean, he's just going to kill it this year. He played under Taysom last year, but he played like a starter in his freshman year. I mean, honestly, via ESPN, the notes I got, he threw for 3,377 yards in his first season 2 years ago as a freshman. We're talking not just any ordinary freshman who just finished playing high school football. No, he literally spent 2 years on a mission, an LDS mission, and came off the plane in June, got to BYU, went through the preseason. Taysom Hill went down for injury, and Tanner goes in, and of course we have the Mangum miracle, as we'll show you right here.
Three-man rush. Mangum, all kinds of time. Steps into the throw, in the wind, down to the goal line, and caught! Touchdown, BYU! Mitch Matthews on the last play of the game.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. The previous play is under further review.
Now, that being said, Tanner, I think, will be a breakout. I mean, I think he has the tools to be a future NFL quarterback. I have no doubt. I think last year he could easily have repeated the success, given Taysom wasn't there. But he did have a great year in a sense that he went into the Poinsettia Bowl and won a bowl game in his second year in college.
Would you say he's an upgrade over a Taysom Hill, or kind of a parallel move here?
They're both great at their own art. I mean, you have Taysom Taysom Hill was literally one of the most athletic quarterbacks I think I've ever seen play college football. One of the most athletic, especially at BYU, next to Steve Young, naturally. But, I mean, you can even look at what Taysom's done in the NFL so far in the preseason. I mean, the kid is a beautiful athlete. He's a beautiful quarterback. And he's going to go far, I believe. But Tanner just has that old school, I'm a pocket quarterback, but I am good on my feet to a degree. He's not a sprinter. He's not the sprinter Taysom was. But I think he is mobile enough that he can get out of the pocket, make the throws. I mean, as you saw in the Mangum Miracle, first game of the year in Nebraska, that Hail Mary. I mean, the kid's magical. I don't know who's better. I can't say it. And of course, that's the Switzerland, and Switzerland talking right now. I want to be neutral. But I think honestly, he's better suited for the pro style offense, which is what they run. So yeah, I guess in a sense, Tanner is better.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to be looking for is when this kid gets drafted, because we know that Taysom Hill was a late pick to the Packers. You wonder where the other guy's going to be drafted. But
I wouldn't mind seeing him in black and purple, honestly. Joe's getting old. Well, Joe's not getting old. That's a different episode.
Yeah, maybe if you had a front office job with the Ravens, you have some influence there. Right. But so defensive side of the football.
Defensive, Fred Warner, no brainer. I mean, defensive stud. He had a breakout year last year. He's the outside linebacker, for sure an NFL guy. An outside linebacker is one of those crazy positions where you could play coverage as much as you could go in rushing quarterback, and he can do it all. Good sized kid. I think he's the bona fide leader of the defense, and I think he's going to continue that this year. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with him.
Okay. So we also know that BYU's bringing back some solid starters from last year. With their linebacking core, they got Butch Paul, they got Fred Warner, as you've already mentioned. I guess as a whole, what are you looking for out of the linebacking core?
Well, the linebacker core is a very interesting one because they did have Francis Bernard, who was the other outside linebacker, got into some issues, had some personal issues where he left BYU, at least the team for his sake. Well, Matt Hadley's going to be going at that position. I think he will be great at that position. I think that the defense will still be pretty solid. The defensive line, they're solid studs up front. The defensive backs are the only question I have. But I think in Micah Hanneman, who's playing that safety position, who's replacing Kai Nakua from last year, who now plays for the Cleveland Browns at safety. And then you also have Fred Warner's brother, Troy Warner. They call him the Warner brothers. Yeah, you got Troy Warner back there holding it down in corner. And, I think the sky's the limit for this defense. They got some youth, especially at the defensive back, which, as we know, in a football league where they pass virtually 70% of the time, that can be dangerous with youth at corner. But I don't see that being the problem when you have such a strong linebacker core. Butch Paolo, he's one of the biggest tacklers at BYU. He's in every single play, and I think that's going to continue this year.
And how about the playmakers for Tanner Mangum, his tight ends receivers? What are we looking for there?
Well, for certain, Jonah Trinnaman, I think he's going to be the one to definitely be the lead receiver this year. I think they're going to be doing tight end by committee. But I've heard a lot of analysts that follow BYU football say this is the year where BYU's tight ends make their return. The Pittas, the Harlings, those guys. So this could be interesting to see how the tight ends play a part this year. I'm excited to see Jonah and see what he can do. The wide receivers have been working really hard, and they're very deep. There's so much depth at wide receiver. It's not even funny. So he definitely has his weapons out there. Tandem's going to be slinging the ball, and I'm excited to see what they can do. But equally, they're going to be running the ball too. You got Squally Canada back there, who's had some playing time over the years, especially behind Jamal Williams, another NFL guy at Green Bay. So I think Squally Canada is more than willing and more than able to handle that workload. And I just see good things for this pro-style offense going into a new year. But, yeah.
Let's go ahead and get the elephant out of the room right now. Is BYU this year going to defeat rival Utah?
Oh, dude, I hope so. I believe so. I think BYU came within a point or two of winning last year. Easily could have won that game. They were a play away from winning that game. But they're at BYU this year. They're at LaVell Edwards Stadium. I can't say with good conscience that they'll lose. No, I think, this is my bold prediction, I think they're going to win. And I'm not just saying it because I'm wearing this blue and white jersey. No, I honestly think that BYU, with the chemistry this team has, how hard they've worked, with Tanner in his third year and already seeing multiple games where he's gotten significant playing time, I think for sure they can beat Utah.
Well, if they do, it's not going to be as by wide of a margin as that opener against Portland State. I can guarantee you that.
Gosh, I can't wait for that game. I'll be at work that game.
That's what we call a tune-up game.
So they call it a tune-up game, and there was actually a little bit of talk. LSU was saying that BYU was their tune-up game. They're in for a surprise.
So, who are the toughest opponents overall? Like, if you had to say the 4 toughest games BYU's going to play this year.
For sure, it's LSU at NRG Stadium in Houston. There's Wisconsin, at Wisconsin, who is a huge. I mean, Wisconsin's a powerhouse. LSU's a powerhouse. They're also taking on Mississippi State, and they're also taking Utah. Utah isn't going to be an easy game by any way, shape, or form. It's going to be a very tough game. LSU, I mean, it's LSU. Let's be honest here. LSU is one of the best historical teams in college football. They got big guys. I mean, and it's going to be a tough game for BYU. I'm not going to say they're going to lose. I'm not going to say they're going to win. I mean, honestly, a betting man would probably say they're going to lose. It's LSU. It's a tough team to play. Wisconsin, they're a really tough team to play. And Mississippi State, of course, in Mississippi. That's going to be another good game that I honestly think BYU could definitely pull out a win there.
Yeah, when I was going through my projections and I saw that back-to-back you got Boise and then Mississippi, and I just looked at it like they're going to win one of these games.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win one and lose the other, but both have been pretty solid college programs. And, you know, when I went through and did all my projections, I came to around 9 wins for BYU. What do you think? What's your overall expectation?
I say 9 to 10. I say 9 to 10, and I say that with good confidence. I think, honestly, September is going to be the toughest month for them. Of course, they have this first weekend, you know, Saturday's game against Portland State. It's going to be a great game to get them out there, get the back of some playing time, get everybody, you know, back in football shape. But then they go to play LSU. That's a tough game to start your year out with. I honestly could say at this point, it could be a loss.
Well, it's a string of tough games after
It's
Portland.
a very string of tough games.
You got your rival. You got 2 top-ranked, solid college programs. The one game that I really struggle with, and this is why, like, you're at 9 to 10, I was at 8 to 9, because I was wondering about Fresno.
Fresno.
Because, like, but then I went ahead and be like, you know what? I'll say they'll win that one because Derek Carr's gone.
Yeah, I mean, he's
been
gone.
But Fresno, I wouldn't overlook them. I mean, they play a lot of tough programs every year, so you never know.
The game that really gets me, and I didn't mean to cut you off, is Boise. Boise's one of those teams, they're a wild card team. You just don't know. You have no idea what you're going to get with Boise. And I think that rivalry between BYU and Boise, that's kind of developed over the last few years, is only going to get more intense. And I think this is going to be a really good game for BYU. Again, I think it's going to be a nail-biter right down to the end. And that's where I say 9 to 10, because if they can beat Boise, that's a 10-win season right there.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. Sounds like we're in the same ballpark there as far as projecting their wins. And is there anything else you're going to predict for the team this year?
I predict that they will finish in the top 25 this year. I'm just going to come out and say
be a top 25 ranked team.
Be a top 25 ranked team. I believe that this year, if they can pick up a win, a miraculous win over LSU or Wisconsin, if they can pull out a good victory at Boise and Utah, versus Boise and versus Utah and Mississippi State, I don't see why they won't be in the top 25.
But that's asking a lot. That's like asking them to win their toughest games, basically.
It is, but here's the thing. You got a team, again, this is a second-year team under Kalani Sitake. They've already been battle-tested in this pro-style offense. For sure, I think they'll be definitely way more conditioned and way more ready to execute. I think it'll be a lot more instinctive. When you're learning a new offense, when you're learning new plays, it's very, okay, what am I supposed to do? Here's the play. Okay, where am I supposed to go? You're always thinking. I think after this, they now are in their second year of the system, it's going to be more instinctive. A lot of things are going to click, unlike last year, where if you watched a lot of games, it was a little bit slower because they're trying to figure out what they have to do next. This, they'll just know they'll go out there to have fun. I think they're going to put up a lot of good points. I think they're going to win a lot of tough games. I honestly think this is going to be one of BYU's best teams fielded.
Okay, well there you have it. And again, weekly, Gerald's going to be doing updates for BYU football. It's called wYre. Stay tuned. He's going to be doing previews. He's going to be doing recaps. All the BYU fans are going to love it. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned.
Yeah. And also, another thing, Alex Hall, our film guy, he actually just did a Hawaii video where he actually filmed and photographed an amazing, beautiful hike in the island of Kauai. And also, so go check that out. We'll actually have that in one of our playlists down below. Actually, we'll put the link in the info of this down below as soon as he gives me the green light for that. And also, we're actually starting a podcast on SoundCloud. Of course, it's called LitTube. We'll have a link for that too. So, again, I'll be doing this, wYre, weekly. And stay tuned, guys. Take care.